Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here, Mr. Secretary. This administration, the President specifically, called ISIS famously the JV team. That clearly wasn't true. This administration cited Yemen as the model approach to U.S. counterterrorism, and that was shortly before Yemen's near total collapse into chaos. So that wasn't true either. President Obama declared al-Qaeda to be decimated, on the run, broken apart, on their heels, very weak. And those are all quotes, by the way. Now, that may be wishful thinking, but it certainly wasn't true and isn't true. Why should the American people trust the administration now on this deal?
We're not asking them to trust. We're asking them to read the deal and look at the components. As I've said many times, nothing in this deal is built on trust. Nothing. It is on very specific steps that have to be taken. For instance, Iran gets zero relief from the sanctions until Iran has implemented the one-year breakout time by destroying the calandria, taking out their centrifuges, undoing their electrical, undoing the piping. They have to do all of that.
As you know, I've got limited time, so I'm going to move on to my next question. But when you say that it doesn't depend on trust, that just strains credibility, I think, to say there isn't trust on both sides involved in this. There has to be, or there's no deal. Now, sticking with this theme on trust, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Relative to anywhere, anytime inspections, you said, and I quote, this is a term that, honestly, I never heard in the 4 years that we were negotiating. Now, in fact, in April this year, Deputy Secretary Advisor Ben Rhodes had said that the International Atomic Energy Agency would have immediate access to any site that the agency wanted to inspect. Now, immediate access sure sounds like any time to me. And also in April, Energy Secretary Moniz, who's the gentleman sitting next to you there, he said, and I quote, "We expect to have anywhere, anytime access to places that are suspected of out-of-bounds activities," unquote. There's that anywhere, anytime once again. So again, why should the American people trust what they're being told by this administration about this deal?
May I say, my quotes have been anytime, anywhere, in the sense of a well-defined process and a well-defined timescale, and that's what we have.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
But let me go further than that. I've been negotiating.
That really clears things up, Mr. Secretary, so thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Secretary.
Well, we never had a discussion in the context of these negotiations that talked about anywhere, anytime. Nowhere on the planet Earth does any country, anywhere under the NPT, have anything called anywhere, anytime. What we have is called managed access, and it's a process by which we get in. Now,
we're this 24 days, okay? I mean, that came out 24 days, and we know that that's longer. That's months,
24 days is an outside period of time, during which time, and for 24 years or longer, 2,400 years, they would not be able to hide the remnants of nuclear activity, of fissional material. And Ernie Moniz will tell you that. But leaving that aside,
as you know, I've only got 5 minutes. I've got several more questions. Let me ask you this. If this is such a good deal, if this is such a good deal, why is Israel so opposed to it?
Well, first of all, I understand when you say Israel, there are people in Israel who support it. There are
and the Prime Minister, okay, he's the representative, just like President Obama is the representative of our country on these types of
negotiations. And you'll agree that President Obama always talks for everybody in the country, right?
Well, he's sure speaking for us in this agreement. Okay. And he seems bound and determined to go forward with this thing, whether the elected representatives of the American people, the majority of us at least, are for it or not.
Let me speak to your question, because it's a serious question, it's important. As I said earlier, we fully understand every Israeli has concerns, have fears. There are concerns about the region they live in, about the nature of the rhetoric that's used, death to Israel, death to America. Everybody is concerned, which is why this is not based on some element of a dream they're going to change or some element of trust. But I will tell you, there are people in Israel who
You're going to name a couple of people. The Prime Minister is against it, and I'm almost out of time. This is one of the main reasons, as a representative of the American people, I'm so concerned. Because Israel could be directly affected, but with these ICBMs and the technology that could be coming, it could make American cities at risk.
Excuse me, Mr. Chabot. We've got to go to Mr. Ted Deutsch of Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.